Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Nahmaduhu wa nusalli ala Rasulil Kareem, amma ba'd. There's 2 points I want to mention here, very important points. Number one is our belief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His statements. And the statements of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is unflinching. Like, we just, whatever it is, this is the best. Whatever rule comes in the Quran is the best. Whatever law comes in the Quran is the best. Whatever statements of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam He has mentioned, this is the best. Nothing can beat His way. The way He walked, the way He talked, the way He did everything. Everything is this. That's our belief. When it comes to the Quran, 100%. You know, if I could be wrong, it could be right now. It could be not the month of Dhul Hijjah, it could be the month of Ramadan, I could be wrong. But when the Quran says something, it can't be wrong. That's our belief. However, we have to understand that sometimes the Quran, the sharh of the Quran, there's a commentary of the Quran. And sometimes the Quran has 2 possibilities, and maybe 2 things, has 3 meanings. The Sahaba themselves differed in the meaning of this Quran, what this verse means. You following? So for example, we believe 100% when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, for those who don't fiqh or quduri, let's say some example. إِذَا قُرِئَ الْقُرْآنُ فَاسْتَمِعُوا لَهُ وَأَنصِتُوا. Now when the Quran is read, you must stay quiet. This is the ruling of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When the Quran is read, you must stay quiet. But now how does this rule apply? Imam Abu Hanifa rahmatullah says it applies everywhere. Imam Shafi says it applies everywhere, but not in Salah. You can read, even when the Imam was doing Qira'ah, you can read Qira'ah khalf al-Imam. So the Quran is 100%, we apply 100%. But now there's a difference of opinion how it applies. Do you understand? And it's always important to understand this, so this is an example of a ruling. If there's, for example, a piece of information in the Quran, if it has 2 possible meanings, it's also very important to keep the aqidah correct. That this is what we call here dhanniyu dalala. The meaning of this verse, the verse 100% from the Quran, but the meaning has 2 possibilities, and I believe that the possibility and the meaning intended by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is 100% correct, but there's 2, 3, 4 meanings here, and whichever one is Allah's murad, the Prophet know was the meaning, that's correct, the other 3 could be incorrect. Why is it important? So that if something comes about, as Thani rahmatullah has mentioned this, I quote Imam Ghazali rahmatullah, that if you have aqaid and you keep this kind of aqidah in a mas'ala, which has like 4 or 5 possibilities, and then it came clear on that this wasn't the meaning, this was the meaning, these 3. What happens then? You get doubts for no reason. The Quran was right, but you misinterpreted it. Do you understand? So not the Quran was wrong, not the Hadith was wrong, it's that you understood it incorrectly. You following? For example, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said to his azwaj mutahharat that whoever has the longest hands, she will, the first to these pass away after me. So they didn't understand Prophet speaking metaphorically. They thought he meant literally. So they thought Sauda radiallahu ta'ala anha, she was the biggest of all of them. She has the longest hand, she's going to die first. But when Zainab radiallahu ta'ala, she passed away, then hit him. Prophet wasn't talking about hands, he was talking about generosity. In Arabic, long hand has a metaphor of what? Generous. Hands are long, meaning he gives everybody. So Zainab radiallahu ta'ala anha. So Prophet said he was truthful, they didn't understand this. So it's what the Prophet said was 100% true, but they didn't understand what he was saying. So you have to say the Prophet said we believe 100%, but is what the meaning of this is. So that if something comes out and say, alright, we misunderstood it. It actually meant this, the words have this. Do you understand? Now going on from this, you also have to understand, you have prophetic medicines, he mentions here in the Quran, Allah says, يَخْرُجُ مِن بُطُونِهَا شَرَابٌ مُخْتَلِفٌ أَلْوَانُهُ فِيهِ شِفَاءٌ لِلنَّاسِ. That honey is shifa'ul linnas. So 100%, the word honey is shifa'ul linnas. Yes. But for which illness? You following? For which illness? For what kind of illness? How much? How often? Murakkaba basit, mixed or not mixed? So all of these are elements you have to have in it. If somebody say, well, honey is shifa'ul linnas, and he gives the baby like 1 bottle of honey and say, well, it's shifa'ul linnas, and the baby dies, and he says, well, I don't believe the Quran anymore. Well, it's your fault. The Quran is correct, shifa'ul linnas, but which illness, how much miqdar? Do you understand? So all of these things, when the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that's what you even have to understand. There's one hadith which the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, people who were ill, they came from another area and they were ill and they had a particular illness. So the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam comes in Bukhari, etc. That the Prophet told them to drink, that go live in this area and you can drink from the abwalul ibil. Go and drink the urine of the ibil, of the camels. So what do we say? We said that if you look at it, actually, people have seen it, I'm not sure, I've not double checked the research, but it said that actually in urine, there is a particular type of cure for a particular illness. It's not like everybody starts drinking like how you sell cow urine and drink it as a sunnah. It's not like that. That's not how we look at it. No. It is the najat that we say that urine abwal, according to Abu Muhammad, it is impure. But the Prophet did say this. And why is this? If you look at it, that particular illness in a particular amount, in extreme circumstances, it's a cure. You get it? So you have to look at when the Prophet says certain things, especially in Tibbun Nabi. Like for example, say, this shifa in kai. Kai means branding somebody. You're branding. What does it mean? Which illness? You got asthma, get branding and cauterize them and put branding. That's not for asthma. It's not for headache. It means if you're bleeding to death and you're bleeding, how do you stop the bleeding? If you brand it, you put heat on it, what can happen? It stops the bleeding. It's also very dangerous when you brand it, you get other illnesses, you get infection. So probably don't brand, but if somebody is dying to death after bleeding to death, what's the better option? Brand him and hope he survives the infection or the other things in between as well. So when the Prophet ﷺ says in the Quran, for example, regarding honey, it's shifa'ul linnas, 100%. But for which illness? In which miqdar? How much? Added to something else individually. Do you understand? So now if you just understand this as shifa'ul linnas, and then somebody, you got cancer and you drank honey, just one spoon of honey, once in a month, and it didn't cure me, you tell me the Quran is wrong. You haven't applied it properly. Do you understand? So this is what you need to understand here. Very important to understand that the nusus of the Prophet ﷺ, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, 100% correct. Everything is much better than whatever we can come to. But sometimes is the other finer points. You have to make sure we understand those. And in light of those, our aqeedah and our belief. Does everybody understand this? Is it clear to everybody? May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us a bit of aqeedah. Subhanallah wa bihamdi, subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika, wa nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk.